All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the School Committee of the Town of Foxborough to order October 19th, 2015. Tonight's agenda, we will recognize any visitors, we will approve minutes, we'll have a teaching and learning highlight regarding Envision the Future, a 2015 Southeastern Massachusetts STEM summer program for middle school girls at Bridgewater State University. We're then going to take up a new reading, first reading of an edit to the policy on the Internet Acceptable Use policy for students. We have an appointment to make for the Town of Foxborough Audit Committee for the school committee representative. Mr. Yukna will give us an FY16 budget update. We'll take an update from Mrs. Spinelli on the Bi-County Collaborative, the BICO quarterly update. We have acceptance of field donations for the Sam Burns Community Field. We'll address any other matters, and then the committee will be going into executive session tonight, the purpose of which is to discuss negotiation strategies with union personnel, specifically the Custodial Workers Association. We'll also be having a discussion regarding our strategy around school safety and security, and we will return to open session tonight. We anticipate about a half hour of an executive session. We'll return to open session to vote, hopefully, on the proposed 2015-2018 Foxborough Custodial Workers Association Collective Bargaining Agreement. So that's our agenda for tonight. Nice to see everybody on a first cool night, the first cool stretch we've had. I think winter's coming. No school days, Mrs. Spinelli.
I'm trying.
Do we have any visitors who want to be recognized tonight? Seeing none, we're going to take up minutes, and we're going to take up the regular meeting minutes from October 5th.
I had no comments.
Bruce, I had one thing on page 3 under the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Coordinated Program Review. The second sentence, I think, should read this final report, not reported. It's just a nit. And then further down that paragraph, I guess 4 sentences from the bottom, where it says the district currently has 29 ELL students. I was looking at my notes. I'd like to add a parenthetical there that says speaking 9 different languages with many different dialects, because I think it just emphasizes what a big job our current ELL teacher has, you know, to deal with at this point. So if we could just add that parenthetical, I would like to do that. Different languages.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
With
Steve?
how many dialects?
I had written many different dialects, but 9 different. Is that's correct? Those were from my notes, but I want to make sure because Amy has all that information. So
I apologize. I had no comments on the August 24th document. Okay. To Tina's point in the same section, I thought it might be worth noting that this program, this ELE, it was noted at least 1 or 2 times in the meeting that this is an unfunded mandate from the state, and that we recognize that because there are resources that we need. And on page 2, bottom paragraph, culture and climate survey.
Steve, hang on 1 second.
Pardon
Let's
me.
make sure, that's okay. Let's just make sure everybody's okay with that comment. I'm okay with that. I think it's editorial, but I think that's okay. Janet, did you capture that?
The ELL program is an unfunded mandate of the state. And where do you want that, Steve?
Let's see. I guess it could go as a single sentence under after the language that says Ms. Spinelli acknowledged the hard work of our current ELE teacher. Do you see that?
The last.
Right.
Yep.
And then you could have a freestanding sentence that, you know, the group noted that this is an unfunded mandate program.
After Tina's
So the
addition.
committee recognized that ELE is an unfunded mandate in the Commonwealth. I think that's kind of important to know.
Well, yeah, we were talking about resourcing. And the other thing was on page 2, under the bold print, last paragraph, 2015 Culture and Climate Survey results. The superintendent noted that this, and we acknowledged also that this was very valuable perception data.
I was thinking the same thing.
And that we also noted that participation in these surveys is very valuable to us in the future. We've seen a rise in people participating, but I thought it might be good to say something like the board encourages people to participate in these surveys as they come along, God bless you, in the future.
So just restate, Steve, what you'd like added and where. If you-
Sure. It was noted that this is valuable perception data to the school committee.
That's the last sentence.
And then also that the school committee recognizes that more participation in future surveys like this is very valuable and useful to us.
As a last sentence
Future
there.
interpretation.
Okay.
And that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Janet, you okay with that? Got that?
Is the
Yes,
group all right with
The last
that?
sentence, the board encourages more participation in the future, is that what you wanted? Does that suffice?
Sure, I think that's accurate. Thank you.
And valuable perception data?
Yep.
Okay.
More participation in the future as it is valuable and useful to us.
Sure.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other updates from anyone on the committee? I had one I'd like to add with the committee's approval under the athletic director update. I think we did have a very positive, sorry, page 2.
Thank you.
Page 2. I think we did have a very good update from Ms. Brown regarding the athletic programs. But I do want it noted, if the committee's okay, at the end of the second paragraph, so this would be the last sentence, that the committee did discuss areas of potential improvements such as uniform processes across teams, and asked Ms. Brown to come back with an additional update. And my reason for that is I think, first of all, we did have, I know I led some of that discussion, but I continued to get some suggestions from people who listened to the update that night and have continued suggestions on how we can consider potential improvements, which is great. We're happy to receive that. I'll be forwarding some of that feedback to Ms. Brown, and I'll copy Ms. Myers-Packlin, the superintendent, so that they see it. But I think it was a very good update, and I think it's elicited some response, and so I'd just like it noted that we're going to ask her to continue working in that area and come back. We know she's got a challenging role managing a lot of teams and student athletes and coaches, and whatever we can do to support her, I think, is important. So, everybody okay with that?
She's doing an exceptional job.
Yes, she is.
So I've just got 2 blanks. The committee did discuss areas of concern.
Improvement?
Of what?
No.
Areas of improvement,
Yep.
such as uniform
Such,
processes
of
among
areas of
teams?
blank such as blank. I just missed those words, I'm sorry.
I spoke to-
Blank across teams. I think, was it communication? Or
No,
Processes.
process.
Processes, that was it.
Across,
Yeah.
Areas of blank such as processes across teams, and asked Ms. Brown to come
Areas of
back.
potential improvement,
Potential
Based on feedback?
improvement.
such as policies.
Such as processes
Proce-
across teams, and
Yeah.
ask Ms. Brown to come back at a future date.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I recall, and you guys help me if you recall it differently, but the sense I was getting was establishing some more process in the athletic office would be helpful. I think she represented some challenges in doing that. I think she spoke about, for example, not everyone has email access or checks it as frequently. But I think the extent to which we can look at potential additional process might just help with the uniformity of how we approach everything from booster roles to communication strategies to that sort of. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah. I think I have it down.
All right. Janet, you got that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
and I would like to motion that we accept the minutes of October 5, school committee meeting with amendments.
I'd like to second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, teaching and learning highlight.
Yeah, so it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's Teaching and Learning Highlight. I would like to invite Ms. Abrams up to the guest table, as we call it. When this opportunity, Envision the Future, came across, Ms. Abrams volunteered to be the point person. So she is up here to give you background information on this terrific opportunity, which is Envision the Future, a 2015 Southeastern Massachusetts STEM summer program for middle school girls held at Bridgewater State University. And here to tell you all about it are the fabulously talented Anna Marcasella on the right and Grace Groves on the left, or in the middle, right there. So welcome, girls. Thank you for doing this and agreeing to come. You know, I'm very excited to have you here. It's quite unique. So I'm just going to turn it over to the fabulously talented ladies at the table.
Great.
Well, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to mention before we start that this is an opportunity, a collaboration amongst communities in southeastern Massachusetts. And also, there's several criteria for this opportunity. One of which was the girls had to get funding from our community, and I have to do a shout out to the Partners in Patriotism who fully funded 4 girls going to this program. So the parents had to pay $50 apiece. Partners in Patriotism approved our grant, and so we have our STEM leaders here. There were 2 other girls who couldn't be here tonight, Andrea King and Nicola Carmone, who also went to the 1 week at Bridgewater. And after they show you, we're making plans to replicate, because that's another criteria of being part of this program. They're going to replicate what they're doing and bring it possibly down to the elementary schools at the appropriate grade level for this concept. So I turn it over to the experts, and I'll fade in the background.
Great. Welcome, Anna and Grace.
Thank you. Yeah, so like Mrs. Abrams said, we decided to bring back this circuit board called Makey. We can explain it in a second, but we decided to bring it back because it shows how to conduct electricity, and that's something that we both remembered from our 4th grade year in elementary school. So that was something we thought would be good to replicate back to our town. Yeah, and then we can explain what Makey is.
So, Makey is basically just an easy way to program things. So you have the circuit board and it connects to the computer. And we have this and when you touch this, it closes the circuit. So we can demonstrate. We have it hooked up to the space bar, I think. Is it plugged in? It's not working.
So yeah, not too good at the game. But basically it just shows that the human body can conduct electricity, and something like this banana, which has water in it, we could say, can conduct electricity. And when we add alligator clips to the circuit board, which is connected to the computer, it can manipulate the computer to believing it is using the keyboard when it's really just using these things that are outside of the computer.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. And then, so we can, explain it okay, but the people who created it were people from MIT, graduates from MIT, and they made a video on it, so we can show that to you.
That's awesome. Oh. It took a picture of the cat, huh?
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Eric. We're graduate students at MIT Media Lab.
We have a dream that everyone is an inventor. So we created Makey to let you invent touch the banana, your computer just thinks you're touching the keyboard. The front has arrow keys, spacebar, and mouse left click. When you're ready for more, flip the Makey over and you've got more keyboard keys and support for the mouse. You can even use the board like an Arduino when you are ready. No programming, no breadboarding. You don't even have to install software. Just plug it in USB.
Order your Makey today and start changing how the world works.
Boing, 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 boing.
Can I come play?
Sure. It's crazy.
That is fun.
And then, oh, sorry. And then they showed how to play Mario Bros. In the video, and we wanted to do that at the camp, but we didn't have enough Play-Doh. So we tried to do it at school, and it actually worked pretty well.
We can hook it up now.
Oh no, is this the one that takes like forever to load?
Well, I gotta hook it up, so I guess we have time.
Okay, I don't think this is it. No, this isn't it. What is this? This is not it. Please help me.
Which is the one that we did before.
This one. Are you sure? No, it's showing. Yeah, okay, this is it. It's gonna work. Still touching it. Sorry. I was testing. Okay, so now Grace can just, okay, yeah, so Grace can kind of show you how it works.
So, see, and then you can jump.
So there's 4 pieces of Play-Doh here, and we have them connected. It kind of looks like arrows.
Yes.
So we have them connected to the arrow, and Grace is holding the ground wire, and then she's
So then when I
touching-
touch any of these, it connects the circuit.
And what you're touching is just Play-Doh.
It's just Play-Doh.
Yeah, because Play-Doh
It conducts electricity.
Is that because of the water content?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything that Mario's doing, you're controlling.
Yeah, like none
right
of
here.
us are touching.
So how did that pencil and paper one work, where they do the picture?
We tried that at camp, but we're thinking they must have had a lead pencil. We didn't. We had graphite.
Graphite wasn't working.
So
but
lead in it would
we're
work?
guessing it was lead
Okay.
pencils that worked.
Okay.
Anyway.
But it's just like a really fun way to show kids how you can conduct electricity with objects that you use in your everyday life.
That's so
And what else did you guys learn from your week of activities?
Sorry, I'm just gonna try
We
that.
learned all sorts of stuff. We learned, for one, we learned how to program robots.
Oh yeah,
using
the
the
first
Lego
day.
Mindstorm programming. That was nice.
Yeah, we program robots, and that's actually a camp at our school already that the 8th grade science teachers do. And we didn't know about that until we were talking to them. And what else? We made ROVs,
Yeah.
which were vehicles that could work underwater.
There was this thing at Stonehill. Biotech. Stonehill.
Oh yeah, and also we went to Stonehill one day, and we got to go into an actual lab that college students learn in, and we got to see how DNA works and solve a fake crime. But it was really fun, and got to basically use all the test tubes and all the stuff that they use, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
So you went into one of the 2 forensic labs? That
Yeah.
were
Yes.
there? Isn't that amazing? Over there?
And we were with one of the professors there and 4 of her students.
And they showed us how they learned about everything.
Yeah. We also learned about stuff that was like everyday life. Like some people made an app where you can see where there's things like really bad traffic or like bad construction sites where there's detours, and there's a setting on it where you can go around and you can write like, oh, there's a bad bump in the road here or something. And we got to go around like Bridgewater campus and right where things might have been unsafe for like walkers that like commute from their dorm to school every day or something. So that was like a very practical thing we learned about.
Would you recommend this to other girls too?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What was Mrs. Mello's? I see Mrs. Mello is here, as always, supporting her STEM learning.
This had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, but what was her question that you answered definitely to?
She asked if we would recommend it to other girls.
Oh.
Yeah. And we say definitely. It was a really great experience.
We learned a lot.
Yeah. We worked from like 7 in the morning to 7 at night every day.
Can I ask you guys a question? Yeah. Were you interested in science before you did this class or this camp?
Not as much, I would say. I didn't really understand how it could be used in daily life until I went to the camp.
Yeah, I agree with that. I remember I'm really into like the DNA and forensics thing, and when I saw the email that it had that special I don't know, like quality or activity, I was really interested in it. So that was what made me want to do it initially. But like Grace said, I learned so much more about everyday use of science and technology and engineering and math.
So you can be a girl who doesn't think that she's really interested in science and still find it kind of interesting. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really about like getting girls interested in science in fields where like women and girls are really the minority, especially in colleges, and even at younger levels, girls don't show as much interest in science, in elementary school, middle school, high school. And it was trying to get us engaged at a younger age so we could try to go into the STEM field as an adult.
It's very well said.
Exactly. So when I saw you last week at the Ahern and then tonight, you mentioned that this made you think back to your an elementary science experience you had, which made me very happy because we worked pretty hard to bring that Sangari Active Science program to elementary school. So what do you remember about elementary science that would tell us that we were on the right track with that sort of thing?
Well, I think I was the one who like remembered it a little bit more than Grace. Like once I said it, she got it, but I was the one who said like, this is what I did in 4th grade basically. So I remember that we got to use a battery to light up I think a light bulb or make a flashlight go on. I don't remember exactly what we did, but like the point stuck about how to conduct electricity. So that's what really made me think with this.
I believe we were given certain materials and then told to connect them to create a closed circuit.
Yeah.
To turn on a light bulb or something like that. And
so
it just
that's
showed
one
us
thing that's kind of important to us is that we worked hard to provide those kinds of hands-on experiences when you're younger, so that you're not just reading about science. So I think that whatever you remember about it, that if you experience science as an active subject, then you'll be more interested in it as you go along into middle school and high school. So I think that's one of the things that we've tried to do is give you active experience with materials and doing things with science, rather than just reading about science. So, and this is a classic example of doing stuff, not just reading.
Well, you guys.
Did you mention that the globe came to the elementary school, Grace?
I'm sorry?
The globe?
Oh, yeah. We had, I don't remember what it's called.
I think it's like a look at the inside of the world, like looking inside
it's
out.
a giant
It comes
shaped
to
like
our
the globe.
Right? Yeah, it comes to our middle school, and actually the man who brought it, he brought a picture of it at a school, and it was actually our school. The picture.
The big globe.
Yeah.
Oh, they're actually geography professors at Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
they're pretty interesting people.
Yeah. I saw my teacher. I saw Mr. Masciarelli in the picture.
I was a little afraid to go in. I don't think I did.
Well, girls, let me ask, did you get to show us the main things you wanted to?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Well, you did a very, very good job. I don't know if the committee has any other comments before we let the young ladies go back to their studies. Steve?
So your banana is a conductor, and you can use your imagination to take other conductive materials out there to move the keyboard from, say, your desk to someone who can't reach the keyboard, somebody who may be disabled temporarily or permanently. Have you thought of any other applications of what you could do with this technology, either using a banana or other materials? Because now we want you to dream and, you know, invent things, right? This opened the door for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Before tomorrow.
Yeah, well, actually, I wouldn't say we really thought of that, but that's actually a really good idea. You can go.
We were mainly just focused on how we could bring it back to the elementary schools as a learning experience more
Because
than...
we could take anything that we did at the camp and make a presentation on it. The last day at camp, that's what we did. We could make a presentation on anything we did, and we really liked a lot of the stuff, like the making programming robots and the forensics lab, but we thought this would really be the best one that could actually have an impact on our schools.
That's great.
I think the little ones would love that.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with just your age, and you present yourself very sophisticated. Both of you handle this very well.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed with your work.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm just
Bruce.
impressed they're paying it forward, so you're gonna.
I know, I love that.
You were inspired, you're gonna go inspire others, and there's nothing better than that. Because you'll do a much better job at that than the adults could. So.
You might listen to them.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in. You did a great presentation, and we'll look forward to hearing all about your great science adventures in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very impressive.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
we worked so diligently on our amendments to our minutes. We forgot to go back to do the executive minutes.
Actually, we didn't. We have to approve those in executive session.
Okay.
So we're
Oh,
going
and then vote them into,
Yes.
thank you.
You are welcome.
They were just together, so.
Yep, no, that was my error in having Janet include them. Okay, so we did a lot of policy updating over the late summer, especially around the area of technology with all the technology improvements that were going on. And we had a parent come forward and point out an area that they thought we could even improve on one of the policies, which I know we appreciated. I had the opportunity to speak with her, as did Mrs. Bellinger, and as a result, I think our policy subcommittee has come forward with an edit. Have I described that properly?
That is correct.
That's a very good way to describe it. You know, we put a lot of work into this over the summer, but it's always good to have somebody with fresh eyes take a look at it, and we take parent concerns and comments very seriously. So we did take another look at it. We have some suggested changes that I think make the policy a little more clear and concise and convey the intent of the policy even better than we did the first time around. So tonight's our first reading, and if you'll bear with me, I'll just go through it, and if you have any questions, we can get to those at the end. Is that good? So this is file IJNDB, Internet Acceptable Use Policy, AUP, student. It is the goal of the Foxborough Public Schools to provide a world-class education to all students. The Internet is one of the many information resources available to students as part of that process. Through the Internet, students can access data from colleges and universities, scientific research facilities, government resources, and many other informative sites throughout the world. Due to the global nature of the Internet and the lack of effective control over its content, access brings with it the potential for misuse and abuse. The Foxborough Public Schools will make every reasonable effort to ensure the Internet is used responsibly and will take every reasonable step to control access to inappropriate material. The Foxborough Public Schools expects all students to use the Internet in an appropriate and responsible manner, period. Access to the Internet is a privilege offered to the students at the discretion of the administrators and staff at each school. While at school, students may only log on using the school account and/or appropriate accounts for educational use. The Foxborough Public School account is to be used for authorized educational purposes only, including research for school projects and intellectual inquiry. The school district will educate all students about appropriate online behavior, including interacting with other individuals on social media and cyberbullying awareness and response. Age-appropriate training on online behavior / cyberbullying will be conducted annually through the district's technology skills curriculum and social skills curriculum. Students are expected to use the internet in a responsible manner. Students are not to transmit, receive, submit, publish, or otherwise access information deemed inappropriate, including but not limited to material that is defamatory, inaccurate, abusive, obscene, profane, racially or gender offensive, unethical, sexually oriented, or illegal. In the next paragraph, we would like to strike the first two sentences, and then it shall read, Foxborough Public Schools technology exists solely for authorized educational purposes. Any use of school technology that results or is reasonably predicted by school administration to result in any disruption or disorder to the school environment is subject to school disciplinary policies and/or loss of privileges. Unauthorized game playing is prohibited. Hacking, any attempt to gain prohibited access to or malicious attempt to harm or destroy data or to upload, download, or otherwise create computer viruses will not be tolerated. Students are expected to conform to accepted social behavior in their use of the internet, netiquette.
I love that word.
Users shall refrain from plagiarizing the works of others obtained over the internet and are to respect copyrighted material and to properly credit all works cited from internet resources. Students must immediately notify his or her teacher and/or system administrator if a security problem is discovered. Inappropriate behavior on the part of any student while using a Foxborough Public Schools computing device, software, data, and network and internet connectivity shall result in loss of privileges or disciplinary actions. Under appropriate circumstances, law enforcement officials may be notified. The Foxborough Public School System, along with any other persons or organizations associated with the school internet connectivity, will not be liable for the actions of anyone connecting to the internet through the school. All users shall assume full liability, legal, financial, or otherwise, for their actions while connected to the internet. In addition, the Foxborough Public Schools takes no responsibility for any information or materials accessed or transferred from the internet. Parents or guardians agree to accept financial responsibility for any damages or expenses incurred as a result of inappropriate or illegal student activity while using Foxborough Public School technology. The Foxborough Public School System makes no guarantee, implied or otherwise, regarding the validity of information accessed on the internet, nor does it guarantee protection against corruption of electronic files when information is downloaded. The Foxborough Public School System reserves the right to monitor local network and internet traffic. This includes information sent or received through our online connections or stored on our computer systems. Students should not expect their use to remain private. The Foxborough Public School System reserves the right to modify these guidelines at any time. And for sources, source is Foxborough High School Handbook, cross-references, JICFB Bullying Prevention, IJNDB-R Acceptable Use Policy Technology, JIC Student Conduct and Discipline, and the legal reference is Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Paragraph 82. So. Any questions?
Do you or Bev want to just comment, Tina, on what we're basically attempting to clarify, or what the change is about, just in general language?
Well, the two sentences that we deleted were perhaps not written as artfully as they could have been. You know, the overall intent of the policy is to make sure that Foxborough Public Schools technology is used for authorized educational purposes. We want to make sure our kids are safe while they're using the internet, and that we are using the internet for academic purposes while at school. And so we took a look at the Massachusetts Student Free Speech Protection Act and made sure that our language was consistent with the protections afforded to students under that. We don't want anything restrictive, and that's where our changes originated from.
Yeah, I think that's a great overview.
Yeah.
Why the change? Did you want to add anything?
Nope, very well said.
Okay. Any discussion or comments for the?
After all due diligence, I would like to move to accept this.
We actually have to have
Oh, we
one more
can't?
reading. We can't accept it
Oh,
tonight.
really?
So
After all this?
yeah. Well,
You've got a lot of work on this.
well, policy changes, we take them
There
very
have to
seriously,
be,
but
yeah,
we have
that's
two
written.
meetings, so,
Okay.
we can waive the reading at the next meeting, but it just gives you a
And
chance to
just, yeah.
marinate, as Steve has said, to think about it and reflect on the changes, and then if there were any, additional changes, we could make them.
We
at the
could,
next meeting.
yeah, we can make a
But thank you.
recommendation to waive the reading of the entirety, citing only the highlighted red so that people will understand that's where because like our last, the last cross-reference, didn't have that before, so that's in red because we will be in. So we can just address,
But we'll vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
In November.
and if that's acceptable to all of us, at that point we vote.
Okay.
Tina, thank you. Bevy, thank you for taking the parent input we
Many
got
thanks.
and evaluating it against our current policy and making the proposed edits.
Thank you.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay, we're on to the Town of Foxborough Audit Committee, appointment of school committee representative. I don't know if you want to kick this off or if we want to ask Mrs. Bellinger to kick this off.
Bruce, could I just,
Sure.
I think I'd like to, if I may, politely recuse myself from this conversation. I think I know who the candidate may be, and I just think it would be appropriate if I recuse myself with no prejudice either way. I know the board will make the right decision if they make it tonight,
Yep,
and
that's,
I'm confident that will be done.
yeah, Steve spoke to me about this ahead of time, and the candidate we're putting forward was involved in his election campaign, a supporter, and I don't think
Very
there was-
lightly, but I think it would be appropriate if I just went out and
Yep, you can,
used my BYOD out in the hallway or something.
if you need to do that, that's fine, or you're welcome to sit and not vote, Steve, but I understand.
So, as you remember from last month, Mr. Frank Souza served long and well on the town's audit committee, which helps the town finance department conduct whatever audits they may of the books and the processes that they use. And it is a committee that is active in some periods and not active in other periods. And Mr. Souza is no longer able to continue. So the town hall folks asked if the committee could appoint another representative on behalf of the committee. And I believe you all took that undertaking very seriously, and it's my understanding you have someone to recommend.
I do have someone to recommend. I spoke with Mr. John Spinney, who is a Foxborough resident. He lives at 24 Windsor Drive. And Mr. Spinney served on the advisory committee at the same time I did, and actually at the same time Steve did. We were all on the AdCom together. And I think it was Mr. Spinney's second tour of duty on the advisory committee. And he certainly is knowledgeable about the town's financial planning and workings of the town. He has the requisite background in finance. Mr. Spinney is the COO, CFO, and principal in Bracebridge Capital, which is a Boston-based hedge fund manager. And he's a CPA, keeps his CPA status current. I think he would ably represent the school department interests on the audit committee, and that he would be a great appointee for us to consider.
What is a COO?
Chief Operating Officer.
Thank you.
So I would like to.
It's definitely in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I would say very much in his wheelhouse.
Might be an understatement.
I don't think it gets much more qualified than that. So I would like to move that we appoint John Spinney as our school committee representative to the audit committee.
I'd like to second that.
Any further discussion by the committee? All those in favor? 4-0, 1 abstain. Thank you, Tina. I think it was you who personally had the idea to contact Mr. Spinney, and thank you to John for giving us of his time yet again. He's a good volunteer for the town, and when Tina suggested him, I know personally I had a big smile and just thought, what a great idea if he's willing, and I suspect the other committee members probably felt the same. So.
And it's a 2-year appointment, right? I believe. So.
Yeah, we should probably just amend your motion to reflect the 2-year time. Do we know it's 2-year time?
I believe that was in the documentation that you provided us at the last school committee.
I have kept it. Here it is. Okay, let's see. All right, let me look at my, that's a good idea. Let me just, give me a second to look at the Town Audit Committee bylaws. Let's see. Where does it say length of service? Let's see. The initial, okay, you're right. 2 years for the school committee appointment.
Okay.
That is correct.
So would you accept a friendly amendment just to,
Absolutely.
your motion to indicate it's a 2-year
2-year
duration?
appointment.
Okay. All those in favor with that? Okay, thank you. 401. Great. Thank you again, Tina, and thank you, John Spinney, for representing us, which I know he'll do exceedingly well.
Will we send John, I'm sure he's watching, but will we send John a letter to
Yes,
notify him?
and we need to notify in writing the town hall so that they have that, and they'll be thrilled because they were hoping for this appointment by the end of the month of October, so right on time.
Okay,
Awesome.
Terrific.
great.
Okay, Mr. Yukna, FY16 budget update.
As it's very early in the process, obviously, we're not really looking at the expense side for any real adjustments. We did have a couple salary adjustments that are coming close to netting out to even, but the first one is on the Pearl School because of enrollments and differentials in the districting side of things. We had one kindergarten teacher and aide that we didn't fill the positions on. That's about $88,778. However, at the IGO, because of for the same reasons, in the opposite direction, we felt it prudent to put in a 1 FTE first grade position to equalize the class sizes to be comparable to those in the other 2 schools. So we used up just under 55,000 of that 88,000. And then, as you may recall, last spring, we proposed a change that was actually being supported by both the schools and the town, which was the addition of an administrative assistant in the tech department. Again, with the amount of stuff that's now kind of flowing between all the town's departments, it was getting a little overwhelming not having somebody kind of managing that process. So we did put that position in place, but again, it was after the budget process, so we were funding that position again with some of the surplus here, and it will be part of our budget process going forward. And again, that's a supported town and school number, but because of the budget process, we're the ones supporting it currently at this point. So basically, that leaves us with a balance on the of a little over $6,000 surplus from expense side. Now we still have a few other areas on the salary side that we are clarifying. So I expect we'll see a few more adjustments before. Well, within the next probably budget month, and then we'll just be kind of sitting back. We don't have any real surprises except for one on the expense side right now, and we're in a process of trying to clarify it, and that is one of our vehicles was taken off the road for the maintenance department that no longer was considered safe. As you know, most of our vehicles we inherit from other departments. So this was a pickup truck that's rather ancient, and unfortunately, we do need vehicles for the maintenance department to go around to different buildings. So what we're looking at is the purchase of a new pickup truck to replace that one. Be one of the first that we've bought, but again, there's no other resources left in town. So again, we'll be looking at some of the other items within our budget to make up that difference. It's probably going to be in the $23,000 range roughly. But we really don't have a choice at this point, so we're going to have to make some adjustments to come up with that.
And that, as you know, is under the capital ceiling, so it'll be something that we have to do right now to solve that problem.
Great. Is that it, Bill?
That's it.
Any comments, questions?
Job well done again.
Yeah, I'll echo that, Bevy. I think, Bill, just the thoughtfulness with which you put and take the different things and still come out whole or to the good, is a testament to to you and your staff, and, you know, here it is, we're only in October. We've got a long way to go before the year's up, but you're already, you know, you're not just getting rid of one or position or whatever, you're thoughtfully looking at class ratios, sizes, other needs, figuring out where you'll put and take, so I just appreciate how finely you manage the budget on all of our behalf, so thank you.
And of course, we're going to save money on less snow removal too this year, right? That's where a good part of that 23,000.
Keep on repeating that then.
I am trying. I am trying.
We can only hope.
Could I get a motion to approve the budget statement? Or accept the budget
I'll
statement?
make a motion to approve the budget statement as presented.
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Moving right along,
Yes.
the Bi-County Collaborative Quarterly Update. Ms. Spinelli.
Yeah, so once again, we belong to the Bi-County Special Education Collaborative, which serves a number of area towns. And I serve on the board. Bill serves on the board of the finance directors for the communities. So we have a lot of communication back and forth with BICO, and as you know, that's a placement we would typically look for if we can't serve a student in our district who has disabilities or a special need that can be better accommodated in a collaborative type of setting. So they currently have 173 students enrolled and had quite a lot of new referrals over the summer. Doesn't mean they can meet the needs of all the referrals, so I think they'd be giving us a great report. They enrolled 67% of the referrals that they received over the summer. And I think the biggest highlight in this quarterly update is that I think BICO is doing a great job. As you know, Dr. Gruber, who is our special education director, is the Bi-County Collaborative Executive Director. And I think one of the things that I certainly have noticed since she's been the Executive Director is that their increase in professional development has gotten much more robust and targeted and meaningful. So you'll see that they held a 40-hour registered behavior technician training for paraprofessionals. So they did that training this summer for their own paraprofessionals that work for the collaborative, but they will be this year offering it for our paraprofessionals. So we have paraprofessionals who are ABA certified, applied behavior analysis. This is sort of the next generation, so this certification will replace that old system, but it basically is an international certification program that's recognized by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, and it qualifies paraprofessionals to work with, to teach students on the autism spectrum and to provide that specialized behavior instruction, redirection, and provide students with that growth either in school or in home-based services. So we do hope that many of our paraprofessionals will be able to take advantage of this. We certainly do recognize and reward a paraprofessional who has a specific specialized training in behavior, and that's very important for any school or any school district. So that's certainly it. And you can see they have other professional development offerings that they have instituted, a teacher leader forum for their teachers. They have a new professional development and curriculum coordinator, Dr. Lori Sullivan, who is going to be offering several things for sheltered English immersion for teachers of students whose first language is not English, and we've spent a lot of time at this table talking about that growing challenge. So I think their update really does do a great, this is required by the state, but I feel it's done a great job keeping people beyond me informed of what they do. Why is it valuable to belong to that? What services do we get for that membership? So I think that was a good update on their part. So thank you.
Great. Steve?
I try very hard not to ask questions where I think I can be Santa Claus, but I'm going to ask this question out of ignorance, Deb. Maybe you can help me. I think that the paraprofessional PD for our staff is an important expense we may need to incur. Is that something that's already budgeted, or do we need to consider as a school committee moving, adding, or somehow supplementing the budgetary needs they might have to get into that program as it comes along?
Very good question.
And is approved by
And I'm happy
you
you
folks.
asked. So,
Well, I mean, again,
Dr.
I'm not trying
Einsel, our
to say,
special ed
it's
director.
not just like a check and we'll sign it, but if it's something that we need to consider, is it something that we need to work on?
I think it's a great question. So as Bill sits on the board of all of their finance people, work with the collaborative, and they do a lot of work with trying to get the transportation costs down, the shared, all the things. We sit as what's the future of the collaborative, what programs and services should be offered that meets district needs, and we are the governing board, if you will, of the collaborative. But Dr. Einsel also sits on her group of special education directors from all of the member communities, and she is working with BICO to provide that. So typically, when we need that sort of specialized training, it does come from one of our special education grants. We get significant special education funds from the federal government and the state of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I believe Dr. Einsel has planned for that within her special education grants. But if I will certainly follow up with her, and if it is the case of that, we will certainly come back to you for that. But I think we're pretty good on that, because we have anticipated that and planned for that.
Thank you.
That's great.
Okay. Any other questions about the BICO quarterly update?
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Spinelli.
Yes.
Acceptance of Sam Burns Community Field donations.
Oh, one of our favorite things.
Yes. So Bill and I talked about this, and we decided that it's probably time. As you know, we had a rousing fundraising season to begin our fundraiser for the Sam Burns Community Field concession stand. And outside of money that we get for people buying the Sam Burns Community Field T-shirts, the Live to Inspire T-shirts, I should say, from the Sam Burns Community Field, and we had events at Splitsville and other fundraisers, that there are many donations that, as you know, because several of you are on this list, that people provide toward the concession stand field. So we thought that rather than you having to accept individual donations at several meetings or constantly, that every once in a while we'd bring to you a bulk of the donations, and we're at that point where we need to regroup and figure out our next fundraising step. I can't yet tell you what that is going to be, but at this point it's a good time to stop and recognize the myriad of people who have donated and so this list that you have toward the future concession stand includes gifts from individuals, families, businesses, and corporations whose sponsorship levels meet or exceed the diamond level, which was $500, the platinum level, which was $250, the gold level, $150, or the silver level, $50. And as you know, this is led by two boosters. The boosters are working really toward this. I have to give the boosters credit, because our boosters will do anything that's good for children and give their time, and a lot of it, toward this. So on behalf of the boosters, going towards our Sam Burns Community Field donation, this is the long list of people who have donated toward that end, and the total that we're asking you to accept is $19,455.
Thank you, everyone.
Deb, would you mind just reading the list
I
of
don't
people?
mind at all.
I think you can exclude the amount of donation, but
Sure.
I think there's a lot of nice donation here, and I'd like to recognize those who
I'd be happy to.
contributed.
So the donors are the Foxborough Soccer Association, the Rotary Club of Foxborough, Foxborough High School Soccer, Patriot Place Development, Foxborough Youth Lacrosse Association, in memory of Kevin J. Martin, and that is a donation by Mr. Morrison. The Fortune family, the Mailing family, Scott Burns and Leslie Gordon, the Whalen family, Christopher and Christine Bain, Robin Ford Sales Incorporated, the Burlone family, Matt and Susan Light, Brian and Claudine Gilbert. I want to pause on that one because that actually came about from last month's meeting where we're at this table and I was talking about our need to regroup and get the fundraising going and that we welcome all ideas. And actually I got a wonderful email from Mr. Gilbert who said that his children are getting a lot of enjoyment out of the field and they'd be happy to donate. I didn't know what he had in mind. I said anything is appreciated, and they have, as you can see, a very generous donation listed there. So thank you to the Gilberts, our latest donors.
Right.
The Bellinger family, Boy Scouts of America, Bob and Marilyn Weiss, the Malika family, Kim McCarthy, Foxborough Lacrosse Association Girls Lacrosse, Neponset Controls Incorporated, the Morrison family, George Morrison Sr., Foxborough Music Association, Paul Sullivan and Maureen Cullity, or if I pronounce
Cullity.
Michael and Mary Jo Carnino, Mary Jo Carnino being one of the booster parents who's key in this fundraising effort. And I think we already went by the Mailing family, Melissa Mailing being the other. Thomas and Jennifer Keene, the Wasserman family, Joanne Rogers, Blueport Wireless, Don and Debbie Spinelli, Foxfield Auto Service Incorporated, Laurie and Robert Rubensic, the Fishman family, Paul and Lori Seeley, James and Tricia Mitchell, Pam and Bill Yukna, Foxborough Basketball Association, Foxborough High School Field Hockey, Dr. Amy Dubrow, John and Anna Maria Maple, John and Noreen Ennis, Stephen Dubrow, Earl and Susan Ferguson. And the myriad of other people who have bought T-shirts, gone to Splitsville, etc.
And that amount was how much today, do you know?
We're roughly at, so we still have some T-shirt expenses, so I would say very roughly we're around $25,000, right in that.
With just that, or?
No, this is included
This is
in
included,
T-shirt
20,
sales.
24 to 25,000.
We're about 25,000, right about 25,000, give or take, I just need to say.
Yeah, that's good update. So do we have a motion to accept the list of donors totaling $19,455?
I'd like to move to accept that amount
Second.
Any
and
further?
thank everybody.
With gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah. All those in favor? That's terrific. I don't know that I remember doing a approval for so many donations all at once. I think this is a good way to handle it, especially with you spelling out the names. But I really want to thank all the people on that list. I noticed there's a family, mine, that's not on the list yet. It will be on the next reading. Because
It's never too late.
gardeners have spent plenty of time on that field, and it's a great cause. But,
Will
you know,
they have churros at this thing?
Will they have what?
Will they have churros?
Sure,
Oh.
at the snack
All
shack.
the Spanish
If that
students
could
would
get us more
appreciate
money.
that.
We will do it.
I'll be on the list then next time too. if
So
you
I
have
think
churros.
the concession stand, the reason we're so hot after the concession stand, as you know, is we're gonna have public bathrooms attached to it, which is very much needed out there. But the concession stand, as I've said a million times already, is the most important feature that will allow our boosters, our town youth groups, and outside groups to raise money during events.
Yeah, it's
And
an
so
engine.
it is a money maker, it's investing money to generate money. So if they serve churros, they'll make even more money.
Oh,
I
that's
think the
So
baseball
great.
one used to have the churros years ago at the concession stand.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I've worked in that
Yes, I have
concession
too. I think I
stand.
remember
The
that.
churros are good over there.
Many years ago.
I'm
Excellent.
sorry, Bruce, to get us off track.
no, if that'll,
That was my downfall.
I'm always willing to
Now
talk
we're
about
all just
food.
thinking about
I don't think
churros.
the doubling is.
Bruce, I would like to point out that, you know, there are so many groups that if a particular family isn't on here, they surely have worked in the soccer association or youth lacrosse or FMA or there are almost every one of our high school booster clubs is represented here, and I know all of our parents, you know, in the various groups are working really hard behind the scenes at fundraising for those groups, and then for those groups to then donate their funds to this. Everybody's got a stake in this, so
Agreed.
you know, kudos to all of the individuals who are
If you are
involved
in an
behind this.
athletic booster that you did not hear your booster club listed, then please go to your next meeting and say, our sport is not represented in this terrific effort that's going to make our booster more money later on. So if you didn't hear your sport represented, then it hasn't contributed yet. This is our first collective group, so
Right.
come on, people.
Donations can be dropped off at the central
Superintendent's
office
office or the high school.
or the high school. Terrific.
And if you write a check, how is it to be written?
Foxborough Public Schools, and then in the memo, put Sam Burns Community Field.
Just a little segue while we're on this topic. Do you want to update, Mr. Yukna, the presence of light or the update to the garden? I know the reporter's done a nice job covering those things, but just in case anyone hasn't seen the paper.
Yeah, actually, the lights are functioning. We're working now on the programming side for scheduling, but we will be having an event there. One of the youth soccer organizations, as well as a team from Canada, will be playing on the 24th under the lights. And I believe we will have something just before that with one of our high school teams who needs extended time. Game's going to start at 5, and it's pretty much dark at 5 now. So, but you know, that really worked very well. We did test them the other night, and as I sent a few of you some pictures so you could see it, it really does exactly what we said. It focuses the light on the field. The spillage is very minimal, and it does a phenomenal job lighting the field and what will be the track area. It lights up very well. So that part's done. The Sam Burns Plaza, as we're kind of calling it, is about 80% done right now. What they've done is it's an area where in cobblestones they outlined S for Sam, The center of the two wings of the S, basically, one will have a 30-foot flag pole installed, and the other one has a monument in Sam's honor that will be on it, and the concrete basically in between those flagstones. The inner side for the S was a darker gray material, and the outer side was lighter, so it really stands out very nicely when you're on it. There will be a couple benches installed shortly, as well as the monument. So I would say within probably the next week or week and a half, that will be pretty much wrapped up. The landscaping will be, final bushes will be put in around it as well, and a little bit of additional topsoil to kind of make the edges cleaner. So it came out very nice. I think,
It's a
the plan.
beautiful design.
Yeah, the plan was really to have the class, which was last year's class, back for Thanksgiving, when they're all back in town, and to do a kind of an inaugural opening for that plaza area and what they've donated. So
Great
Good
idea.
idea. Good timing.
I think it will work out well.
Excellent.
Can you remind me, Bill, is that the intended entry point to the complex down the road?
Well, it's interesting because, there was no real master design of what was going to be where, so we kind of had to work that out pretty quickly before we did this. So what it appears to be is the actual main entrance will probably be in the center behind the goalpost.
Good.
The concessions will be to the left, closer towards where the new electrical building is, and the this plaza will be to the right. So you'll walk in and you'll kind of be able to split and go either direction. And then the existing opening will go away at that point in time. So, but that gives us the ability to focus and control, people coming in, and they'll also come in closer to the bathrooms and the concessions as they move through. So.
I have a high school sophomore who was concerned when he saw how nice the Sam Plaza's looking and said, "Dad, where's the ticket stand going to go now?" Which I thought was kind of a good question, and I didn't know the answer. So, well, that's great. And is it Brian DeVellis who's done such a nice job?
Brian was there with his father, actually, and Bill Motto was there doing the granite side. Chris McNamara and his staff were doing all the concrete work, so it's really been a community effort again. Putting this together, and as I said, Motto will be doing the final landscaping once we have, the flagpole and the monuments in place. So
it's great. Great. So many nice touches to the campus here. As I drive around, the back's looking terrific, and we spent a lot of time in past meetings talking about the back. And that's going to be terrific. The lights now, I appreciate.
Are the lights plugged in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other side of it is within the next week or so, all of the lighting on the exterior of the building will be LED. Obviously cutting our power, but giving us a much cleaner light, around the whole building. And that's going to also happen at the middle school, and then will actually end up happening at the 3 elementaries as well.
That's great. Thank you. Good work. Anything else on that point? If not, we'll go to other matters. Melissa will leave us. Melissa, did you want to add anything tonight?
Do you have any other matters?
Switch for sneaking out.
How's the team doing?
Oh, for football?
No.
For anything?
Yeah, well.
Good?
Good?
Yeah, good.
Okay. All right.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.
Have a nice rest of the evening. Whoops.
I want to speak.
Please.
Other matters. Bob Kraft showed up at our high school game the other night, so we went over and thanked them for that coming. He went in and spoke to the kids, commended Austin Ryan for his 98-yard touchdown the week before, and compared him to Edelman. ACT's this Saturday, and the 8th grade band were up there the other night also at the football game, practicing with the marching band. I believe they went out there with them at one point, and they had a big barbecue for them, so get them ready for high school. And that's all. That's all, folks.
I'll just make a comment on the high school football game. It was too bad to see them take their first loss, but tempers got a little heated toward the end of that game, and I think it was okay, but I guess I'd like to remind everybody that, everyone's doing the best they can, and no one likes to lose, and our team's had a lot of success this year, but anyway, it's nice to see all the crowd turn out. Great participation and tough game. Steve, anything? Other matters?
I mentioned the churros already, so I'm.
I would like to make a motion on the churros, please. Move this forward.
Amy,
What's that?
are you suffering over there with a little cold or
Allergies.
allergies? Bevy?
Yes, I very much would like to go to, accept the invitation for Thursday afternoon to see the stadium. If we are going to be more than 2 people as a school committee, we probably should post it. Are we going to be more than 2?
I will be going.
Yes, please post it, Janet. It has, I think it has to be posted by tomorrow.
Right.
Bev, do you want to remind the residents viewing tonight's meeting what that's about, just generally, in case they haven't seen it?
What, when 2 or more?
No, I'm sorry, not the posting.
The event.
The event itself.
Oh, the event itself, yes.
I think it's open to the public.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It does say open house, but
The
I only
open
know what I
house,
got in
yes.
email.
It's
Because
open
we
to
are
public.
elected officials, there is an open house has been offered
It is,
to
yes.
us. A scheduled tour on Thursday, October 22 at 4 p.m. And our visit to the new additions and updates at the stadium should last about 60 to 75 minutes.
I think what'll be really helpful there, and I'm not sure I can be there, by the way, pending business travel, but I think what'll be really interesting is I think they plan to talk about future plans as well, to the extent they know them, and so that'll help us. I know everything from revenue planning to demands on public safety to
Right.
everything else, so yeah, thank you.
I think if people do have questions, they are to contact the Selectmen's Office for further assistance
Right.
if you want details. Hopefully it's
Now,
posted somewhere on the town.
It's on the
It's been a-
town site.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect, okay.
I
great.
received my notification of this because of the rec committee from Debbie Giardino, so she's the one to whom I responded.
I believe
I
it was
would
in the
like to
paper.
go.
It was either in the Chronicle or something
Okay,
the other day.
great.
Open to
Okay.
the residents of Foxborough and the committees.
I'm not sure if I can go, but those who are going, I
3.
hope will report back to our committee about
Yes.
Oh,
the changes
It'll be our
when we
other
have
matters
our,
next month.
in November, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Bevy, did you have any other matters?
Yes, I would like us to consider something. We, as a school and as a school committee, encourage as much as possible for experiences for all our students. I would like us to take under consideration when we add new possibilities that it doesn't take away from other existing things that have been proven successful. Now, because of economics, French exchange is on an every other year cycle. Because of the social studies trip this year to Italy and slightly into Paris, the enrollment for French exchange is down. It affected deeply the Spanish exchange. Not enough participants showed up, so they had to cancel any Spanish. And then also, Mrs. Wazelinski has very thoughtfully put together for several years a program during February vacation, which they do historical things, plus a lot of theater in London. And because of the new social studies trip, that probably is not a go either this year. So 3 successful programs that we've had going have been deeply affected.
I'm not aware that the additional one has affected others, but, so this is news to me.
Well, but I'm telling
look
you,
into it.
the Spanish, Puerto Rican trip, they didn't get enough participants. The enrollment for French exchange is way down. And, I mean, there are 3 times as many French students here tonight as are going to France. And I just saw Shannon today, and she said probably the London trip won't be able to run this year. So with economics for everybody being as it is, maybe, and some things are already on once every 2-year programs, we could balance it. So the opportunities that we are providing and offering our students don't conflict, but in every other year cycle.
What do you think is affecting these numbers? I guess I'm missing that.
Well, we voted that
The social studies?
that the social studies could take a trip.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, the social studies trip versus French exchange is 3 days shorter, and it's costing $1,500 more than this home stay.
Okay.
I mean, those are real statistics.
Right.
And the
So
issue, Bev, is that they're at the same time?
Economy.
we're offering these, we offered 4 things in 1 year.
Right.
You have to pick and choose.
And,
Economically.
yeah, you know, Spanish exchanges every other year now
I
automatically.
understand that part, but how many, excuse me, how many of them are offered at the same time? Have you looked at that?
4 were
None of them
offered
at the
this
same
year.
time.
No, but not at the same time.
No.
What do you
Okay.
mean not at the same time?
Not the
Same
same week or the
Same
same
week.
month or.
No, but
Same
you,
year.
that's what I mean,
I see.
the same year.
So you
And
have
there
to
are-
say your child can only go this one, you can't go to that one,
Yeah.
if you have social studies in there.
So,
Right.
Bevy, I think it's an interesting point noted, and my initial thought is, I still like the fact that the school system and with our support offers choices. But your point is, the choices may be impacting other choices, and should that be something for us to
Well,
consider?
that's, I did use the word, I would like us to
Yeah,
consider
yeah,
this.
Okay,
Now, there are a couple of the programs already on an every other year schedule.
right, so that could be a
So,
possibility.
you know,
Okay,
I'd like us to consider that.
I have more, always begs more questions for
Yeah.
me. So I guess I would want to know how many of the kids that are going on the social studies trip would have gone on one of the others. I don't know that. So that would
And I
require a lot
also,
of
I have no
digging.
idea.
They may or they may not have. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know.
And there was another one that was gonna be offered too, but there wasn't enough kids signing up, which they hadn't come forward yet in one of our classes. So that would have been part of it too, if there were enough kids, but there weren't enough kids
No,
signing up.
I don't know. I would
Right.
have to
Well,
ask.
there
No
weren't
one
enough,
has
there
said
weren't
there's a
enough to do the
cause and
Puerto
effect
Rican trip
relationship.
Right,
that we had
but they didn't
okayed.
get to the point where they presented yet. It was, I think it was history, Matthew's class.
Well, that's the history, social studies.
Yeah, but there was another trip, it wasn't there.
so why don't we,
But I just, you know,
What would our-
for
Bruce, what would our
another,
action
for
be?
another year, let's see the success of this, how many people do the Italian,
Yeah.
Yes, there weren't enough
Paris
kids.
one,
yeah,
and just take it under consideration.
I think
I
it's
don't
a-
think there was
I-
enough sign up,
I
because I
think
didn't have
it's
to
a-
put the check in.
I think it's a good observation, good awareness,
They
something
have
for us to think
15.
about. And I guess my thought, Bevy, would be if, with your contacts with Shannon, if she has any thoughts or
Well,
observations
she
or.
thinks that they won't have enough to make it. You know, you
I
have
don't
to have
mind.
an
I think
N
I
number.
don't
You wanna
mind
own that one?
I certainly don't mind gathering some more information so that I can understand all the factors and see
it
whether there is a
probably gets-
causal relationship or whether there's not, and some, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure that social study one's happening, is what I'm saying, because I know they had to have a certain date, they had to have 15 kids in.
I'd be happy to look into it.
So the social studies one isn't happening?
There is one, I thought, I was saying history, but it might be that one you're referring to. I didn't know it was Paris. It was, Matthew had asked us about it, and
It's in
enough kids
Italy and
didn't-
France.
Enough kids didn't sign up. It had to be 15 kids by a certain date, and they didn't get that amount.
Well, anyway, it would be
So I don't know if it's
nice to, I think because I have heard
Didn't have to write a check.
from the London, from the French, and from the Spanish, I have heard that there's a concern, so I think we should get some
Okay.
facts.
Superintendent was just saying to me, she doesn't mind taking this on and seeing what she can
She's a
find out.
great
So-
staff.
I would be interested in knowing if you know,
And
other
factoring.
considerations are coming into play. We've put senior project, which is wonderful, but if students are working, if they're unable to take trips because of something
Right.
like that, because everything's
those
a
numbers
choice.
are up,
So
yep.
one
Everything's a
opportunity, you
choice.
know, one door opens, another closes.
right.
So, and also sports, because I know our sports programs practice over our school vacations, and
Correct.
it does force our student athletes to make choices about their priorities, which I'm not saying that's wrong, but it might give some more background
Insight,
to,
yep.
you know, why students are making the decisions that they're making. But I think it's good to have
It's-
options for kids. So.
It definitely is, but I think we ought to be aware of impacts and participations to do the best for our students.
Thank you, Bevy. Anything else, Bev?
Nope.
Tina?
I guess I feel compelled to mention that the student council induction ceremony at the Ahern School is Wednesday night. Bev is going to be the featured school committee speaker, and my son Sam is the 8th grade student council president. So
love
I'm a
it.
very proud mom, so I'm
should be.
excited about the induction
I
ceremony.
can't go, but I'm happy that you're representing.
I will be
It's
there
terrific.
as a mom.
And a guest speaker.
And Bev is representing as our
Great.
speaker. I had the pleasure of doing
Got it
that
covered.
last year. So.
As usual.
But it's a great opportunity for our middle school students to get involved in their school community and in our Foxborough community and take on some leadership roles that I think we see we saw some great leaders in the middle school earlier in this meeting, and we see it carried over with our high school students and what they do and all the different aspects of leadership they take on here. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
I always have a few.
That's why I saved you
No
for
surprise.
Save the best for
I'm
last.
glad that Marilyn mentioned, I would like to thank Mr. Kraft for coming to the game on Friday night. I think it's
That's
great.
great
when He
that he did that.
has that
Love that.
shows that support for student athletes and our team and
Stayed
our
the whole
coach.
game.
Stowe, I
Oh,
think
he left
always.
the
Yeah,
We
it
were
doesn't matter,
hoping-
it doesn't matter because I think it's great that he was present, so I want to thank him for that. Our iSchool advocates, we started the second cohort training today. This morning, we have a great group of students, and so as you remember, these are our students who are being trained by people from the iSchool initiative to be student technology leaders in Foxborough High School. So we have our second group, last year was our inaugural group, so they will be having 3 days of training this week. And some of our iSchool advocates from last year are actually attending the MassQ conference this week up at Gillette with the iSchool initiative people to showcase what student technology leaders can do. So very proud of our iSchool advocates from last year. Great group this year, so I think they're enjoying it. I think you might be hearing something a little bit more about that in your home. And last but not least, we are officially on Twitter. So follow us at Foxborough spelled the long way, PS. And that I started that this morning, and we already have over 130 followers. So we're out there.
Great,
Here we go.
exciting.
Got a
Y'all
lot of
have to
positive
join Twitter
comments
now.
actually already about the communication, and it's just news and announcements from the school, so we'll see what happens. But that's up and operating as of this morning, so follow us on Twitter.
Thank you, Mrs. Spinelli. Okay, so now we'll take a roll call vote to go into executive session, again, for the purposes of discussing negotiating strategies with union personnel, specifically the Foxborough Custodial Workers Association. We're also going to be discussing some strategy regarding school safety and security. We will return to open session, my best guess, about a half hour from now. Roll call vote to go into executive session.
Do we make a motion
Yeah.
first, I believe? I'd like to make a motion for us to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing negotiation strategies with union personnel. Okay, roll call vote, aye?
Aye.
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 Do we have to motion to go back into session?
Yes.
Motion that we resume public session?
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we are returning from our executive session where we reviewed the negotiation strategy with union personnel, specifically Foxborough Custodial Workers Association. And thanks to Mr. Yukna and Ms. Spinelli, we've got, I think, consensus on extending their collective bargaining agreement. So do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the proposed 2015-2018 Foxborough Custodial Workers Association Collective Bargaining Agreement as presented in executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, that's just a vote.
Oh, yes.
That's okay. It's
We've
okay.
been saying aye so
Aye,
long.
aye, aye, aye.
He started it.
It's okay to be verbal and demonstrative.
Verbal and enthusiastic is always good.
Okay. Great.
A lot of
Thank-
boards.
Thank you, everybody.
Too many.
Old habits carry
You
fit.
have to motion to adjourn.
I'll make a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Good night,
You were
everybody.
just leaving.
Good night, everyone.